3, 2, 1. Action.
Hello, movie fans. I am Josh.
I'm Dave.
And we are Balls Deep Movie Podcast. In this podcast, we go balls deep into entertainment and pop culture. And this week's subject is our love for Jim Carrey.
This week's first subject. This
First
is our
subject.
inaugural podcast, Josh.
Yep. Sorry. First subject.
So this week we're going balls deep into Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, who, if I can speak frankly for both of us, has been a part of our lives since we were little kids.
And yeah, absolutely. Dude, I grew up watching Jim Carrey movies. Also, I feel it's perfectly acceptable as a heterosexual male to be sexually attracted to him.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, there's nothing better than Jim Carrey with Ace Ventura hair. Nothing better.
God, that hair.
Oh, man. I was actually watching him with Me, Myself, and Irene, and that high and tight he has in that movie. At the beginning, he has a high and tight and a mustache, and he's kind of just like this white suburban dad, you know? And I'm just like, I love this Jim Carrey. I'm sexually attracted to this Jim Carrey.
The mustache does it
I
for
want
you?
to mustache ride this Jim Carrey. Yeah, it just did it. Yeah. But yeah, we've been talking. I love him. I think my first movie that I saw him in was Ace Ventura 2, When Nature Calls.
Me too. That was my
And,
first Jim Carrey movie. Either that or The Mask.
The Mask, yeah, I was about to say
Possibly
The
The
Mask.
Mask.
Yeah, looking at his filmography, it's kind of difficult because it all, that, Ace Ventura, both of them, and The Mask and Dumb and Dumber all kind of bleed together to where I don't really know exactly which one was first.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I know I didn't see Ace Ventura: Pet Detective all the way through until I was a teenager. I saw pieces before that, but honestly, Pet Detective was a slight bit raunchier than Ace Ventura was, so I kind of get why my parents wouldn't let me watch it. Me, Myself, and Irene, I did not watch when that came out. My parents would not allow it. And you're aware of the fact that I just watched a shitload of Jim Carrey movies this weekend.
Yeah,
Myself, and Irene, I saw for the first time. And holy shit, I am
Yeah.
not at all surprised that my parents would not let 10-year-old me watch that movie. Or 8-year-old me, however old I was.
My parents were apparently not good parents because they let me watch all of these movies, no matter what my age was. And Me, Myself, and Irene is incredibly fucking raunchy.
Oh yeah, dude, everything that happens with the dildo, which is like a recurring joke after halfway through the movie.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I actually love that the dildo was not for him. Or when it was not for her, it was for him.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he did it,
no.
And he did it to himself. I
That
was
makes
like, wow.
perfect sense. 100% it makes
That
perfect sense.
is pretty amazing. What'd you think of it, though, now that you've seen it for the first time?
It definitely had funny scenes in it. There were parts that I definitely laughed at, but none of it was all that memorable for me. I'm not going to find myself quoting Me, Myself, and Irene the same way I do Ace Ventura and The Mask and Dumb and Dumber. I do think his 3 black sons were my favorite part of the movie.
Ugh, amazing.
I loved everything about them. I love the fact that they were incredibly educated and they still talked the way they did, and the way that, it's very obvious that it can't be a secret to them. I mean, Jim Carrey was in denial about it the whole time. It's no secret to them that Jim Carrey's not their real dad. They didn't give a shit. They were like, this is the man who raised us. We're going to fucking steal a helicopter for this man.
And it's got Jim Carrey saying, you know the rules. No bitches after 11.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I love
man.
you, Daddy.
That's amazing. Kiss it. And then, he has these 3 grown men kiss him on the cheek. Oh,
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, only Jim Carrey could pull that off.
Only. It was
Only
amazing.
Jim Carrey. When I was a kid, after the first time I watched The Mask, right, that was all I ever wanted to watch for a few months. I annoyed the shit out of my parents with it. I was like, is The Mask on TV? Is it on TV? Because we didn't have it on VHS. And dude, I remember, I can't tell you how many times I said, it's party time, Party, why? Why? Because I gotta. Dude, that movie's got so many lines in it that are just so funny to repeat.
I feel like a lot of his movies, now I don't know, I didn't do a lot of research before this podcast because I had a lot of stuff over the weekend, but if you look at Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, The Cable Guy, these are all no matter what their critical response was, they're kind of have a cult status
I don't
around
think
him.
I don't think it's cult status for a second. I think that like when Jim Carrey came out, like he was kind of bringing something to the comedy table that nobody had really seen. You know, like Dumb and Dumber, I feel like is one of the first movies that brought out the comedy where the main characters are retarded.
Yeah.
Right, and it's exactly what people like Seth Rogen have been piggybacking off of. Seth Rogen took it up a level, and like his comedies are really raunchy.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like Dumb and Dumber is the one that actually started it. I'm not really aware of too many comedies from before that did a similar thing. There might have been some, but like, I mean, Jim Carrey movies, even though they got shit reviews, like everybody loves Jim Carrey. Show me one person who doesn't like Jim Carrey, and I'll call him a fucking liar.
Well, I feel
Right.
like the Cable Guy definitely is more of a cult movie, though, right?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. The Cable
yeah.
Guy, sure. You know, when people talk about Jim Carrey movies, like just from talking to people about it over the years, The Cable Guy's frequently left off the list.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I remember when I watched it that Jim Carrey made me uncomfortable. Like like he was just so creepy in that movie that I understand why people don't, why it's not like a mainstream Jim Carrey performance. You know what I mean? Because
Because
a
he
lot
gets
of-
kind of stalkerish in that
yeah,
one.
yeah. But I remember liking it and loving it. But yeah, man. I mean, looking at his filmography, it's just absolutely fucking insane. Like even his bad movies are like Having Fun with Dick and Jane. I fucking love that movie so much.
I saw that movie in the theater, and there was so much. My favorite scene in that movie is when he's at the bar towards the end, and the wife walks in, and she's like, "Why didn't you cut him off?" And the bartender says, "He only had half a beer."
I love when he was robbing that person at the ATM and it was somebody he knew. Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah. I like it when he crashes the car into the garage and he speaks into the thing and he just goes, "Mercedes off." That nice little setup they made at the beginning of the movie of the prick with the expensive car.
Oh man, I love it. Oh,
Yeah, like I've got the IMDb page up right now, right? And like honestly, there's a bunch of stuff on there that he did that I've never even seen, some of which I've never even heard of. There's a few things I've never heard of. But he's just, I don't know, he's got so many good things. Mm-hmm. You know, regardless of reviews. I don't give a fuck about what the reviews say. Like if we start at the beginning, right? Like the first thing he's got on IMDb is a TV show in the 80s, 1980 called The All Night Show. Never heard of it. You know, he's got a whole bunch of stuff up here that I've never even heard of until, when's the first thing? Where is it? 1994. I'd never seen him do anything before 1994. Well, with the exception of like In Living Color, which was what, like 1990 or something?
yeah, 90 to
Yeah.
94.
Exactly. So after In Living Color, that's when he did Ace Ventura, and that's when he hit. The Mask came out the same year. Dumb and Dumber came out the same year. Like 1994 was Jim Carrey's year.
Dude,
He had 3 movies.
I mean, you had, like look at this. Look at the list back to back: Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Batman Forever, which was a bad movie to me, not because of him.
Absolutely.
Ace Ventura 2, The Cable Guy, Liar Liar, and The Truman Show, all back to back.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, talk about a run.
3 movies in 94, 2 movies in 95, then he had 96, 97, and 98.
Yeah,
Like, dude, like, Jim Carrey was a star. I mean, he's still a star, right? But the 90s was when everybody, like, Jim Carrey was like what Chris Pratt is now. Like, everybody's got to have him.
yeah. Late
Right.
90s, early 2000s, he was huge.
Absolutely. After 98, we had the Truman Show. Like you said, 99, we had Man on the Moon.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, which is actually one of the movies I still need to watch. I can't believe that I left that off of the movies that I downloaded. Me, Myself, and Irene in 2000. How the Grinch Stole Christmas in 2000.
Yeah. The Majestic, which wasn't that good a movie in 2001.
Never saw it.
Then he has 2003, he has Pecan Pie. I've never seen that. But then 2003, you also have Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty was good. I loved it. I mean, I like anything with Jennifer Aniston in it because she's easy on the eyes.
Mm.
You know, I don't really take note of her acting ability to be completely honest, but I like Jennifer Aniston. She's aged very, very well.
Then you have 2004, you have Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which apparently you weren't really into when you were doing your research.
I didn't finish it. I got just under halfway through it. Like, I was watching it, and at first I was like, okay, this is cool. It's a really non-standard way of telling a story. I'm into it, right? And then, they kind of reveal how everything's going with the memory erasing and stuff like that. And I don't know. I couldn't stay interested. I tried. I wanted to be, but I can't put my finger on it. I just couldn't get behind it.
Well, it's also extremely depressing.
See,
Like,
that doesn't bother me at all, though.
oh, okay, okay.
Like none of that, like that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. I'm into morbid shit. Like, I've seen some really fucked up movies. A little bit of depression is not going to take me away from it. That's fucking small potatoes compared to the shit that I've watched.
Yeah, I mean, I love that movie. I love that writer that did the movie. So I mean, it's definitely, that's also another movie that has really good ratings. That you know, I feel like commercially is not like considered, like when you hear like, oh, Jim Carrey movies, you don't think of that one.
No, of course
a lot
not.
of people don't.
No, absolutely not. It's the number 23, which came out a few years later. Absolutely, most people don't think of that when they think of Jim Carrey. Only people who've actually watched it.
Which also in 2004, after Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, you had Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, which I absolutely love.
I
But I've never read the books.
liked it. I definitely liked it. I never read the books. I loved, oh God, what's his name? Is it Billy Connolly who's in that movie?
I think
Who
so.
plays one of the friends
Yes.
of the family or something like that? Like, yeah, I love him. Like his old school Monty Python stuff to like his small role at the beginning of Muppet Treasure Island, which
You
you
know,
still need to watch.
he makes me feel Billy Connolly. Yeah, he makes me feel warm.
Yeah.
When I don't know, like just the way he looks at the people that he's acting with and the way he talks and stuff like that. Like he just makes me feel safe when I hear him
Not
talk.
in Muppet Treasure Island.
No,
His
I gotta check that
character
out.
is like a raging alcoholic pirate. Like it's, but he's endearing. He's funny.
And then, I mean, he's consistently worked. Man, he's consistently worked for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since 1994, he has never been out of work.
Yeah, and this year he has two movies coming out. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. In 2016, with the amount of time it takes to make these movies, like you can't make these movies in just a couple months anymore. Maybe some indie projects, yeah, because the indie movies are usually very small in scale. Just in their storytelling specifically.
Yeah, man, I mean, he did go on this little, he made the number 23, which is a really, really bad movie.
I disagree.
Oh, do you?
I do. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
Oh, okay.
That movie got me fascinated with the 23 Enigma. Like that's what turned me on to it. And like I was never one of those people who, like, in the movie, the people who become obsessed with it. I don't know if those people actually exist, but like I always found it was really, really fun to find the number 23 wherever I could. If I ever just happened to come across a bunch of numbers, for whatever reason, I'll try to do some quick math and see if I can get the number 23 just for a little giggle. I've never taken it seriously, but I thought the idea was really, really cool. And there's the opening credits scene at the beginning where they show all of these like historical events that are in some way, shape, or form related to the number 23. That, like, as far as I know, those are accurate. So it's just kind of a neat thing that they did. Jim Carrey has enjoyed the number 23 even before the movie. I saw him in an interview on like Leno or something like that talking about it. When he was trying to promote the movie, and he was saying like, he read a book about the number 23 when he was a teenager or some shit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's probably why he was on board to do the movie.
Yeah, I also didn't know that it was directed by Joel Schumacher, and the last time that they worked together was Batman Forever.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, so...
Oh, hold on. We've kind of gotten a little bit away from our gushing, right? But I have to talk about Yes Man, and I have to tell you a story about Yes Man, about something unfortunate that happened to me because of that movie. So back in, what was it, 2000? That's when it came out. Yeah. Okay, so it was 2008, right? 2008 was the year I was turning 21. And I was in Hawaii at the time. And when that movie came out, it came out late in the year, like in November, I think. And all of my friends had gone home to visit their families for like Thanksgiving and stuff like that. And so there was like me and one of my friends who stayed back in Hawaii. And we went and saw it in the theater and we loved it, right? There's some cool quotable stuff from there too. Excuse me. And one at a time, my friends would come back, like once a week, we'd get another friend back. And as soon as they get back, we'd be like, dude, have you seen Yes Man? And like, no, I haven't seen it yet. And we're like, come on, we're going to watch it. And this happened like 4 times. I watched it 4 times in the theater. Not because I loved it that much, but just because I wanted to show it to other people because I thought it was really funny. Worth it every single time. And we're going to flash forward a month to December 29th, 2008, my 21st birthday. And my father had flown out to Hawaii for 10 days to celebrate my birthday with me. And my friends and I all decided to go out, and we're going to go bar hopping, and we went to a bunch of different places, and we get to a Dave & Buster's in Honolulu. And we go inside, and we're sitting down, and we order some food, and we're drinking more and whatnot, which, by the way, don't drink at Dave & Buster's. It's the worst thing you could do. They cut you off unreasonably early. But anyway... we get around to drinks, and at one point I noticed that there's a bottle of Tabasco sauce on the table.
Oh no!
And in the movie, there's the scene after he makes the decision to say yes to everything. He goes with his friends to a bar to apologize, and they decide that they're just going to start drinking like crazy. And Jim Carrey's character gets shit faced, right? And there's one point where he takes a drink, and then the actor, I don't know his name, the guy who plays Stephen Hyde in That 70s Show, he looks at him and says, all right, you, another hit of hot sauce. Right, so he takes some hot sauce, he puts it on his hand, and then he snorts it up his nose. So back to Dave & Buster's. I'm 21, I'm drinking, some of my friends are drinking, and I notice the hot sauce. I pick it up, and I open the cap, and I start pouring it on my hand, and I go, all right, guys, who's going to do it with me?
Oh, no.
Every single one of them looked at me like I was fucking insane. And they're just like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to snort Tabasco sauce. And then one of our designated drivers, who was turning 21 2 days later and couldn't drink, decides to fess up to the challenge. And he goes, all right, if he's not going to get me fucked up on alcohol, he's going to fuck me up in some other way, right? So once a sober guy decided to do it, all the drunks had to. So we all get some hot sauce on our hand, and it's just 3, 2, 1... Oh my God, we all start yelling. The left side of my face burned for like 20 minutes. It was a horrible experience. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Oh, that sounds so terrible.
It is. Don't ever do it. It's retarded.
No, I would not do that. But I do love that movie. I was actually just now looking at the ratings, and it has a 46% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's retarded.
Yeah, that's surprising, actually, because I love that movie.
I mean, Yes Man is obviously not one of Jim Carrey's best movies, right? It's not one of the funniest roles he's ever played, but it was a good flick. It had, Zooey Deschanel as the manic pixie dream girl, or whatever the fuck that trope is called. Mm-hmm. That girl that doesn't actually exist in the real world. But yeah, I mean, no, I thought there was some cool stuff in it. I liked it a lot. My favorite scene in that movie is when he gets out of the car after being up all night to go to the running thing, and he runs up to Zoe's character, and he's just like, I had a Red Bull last night, and I've had a Red Bull before. I really like Red Bull.
Yeah, I love that whole movie. Right after that, he does Christmas Carol, which...
I didn't watch because I've seen the Christmas Carol in a dozen different other variations. I get it, it's Jim Carrey, that's great, but I just wasn't interested at all in the Christmas Carol.
I actually skipped over one that's called I Love You, Philip Morris. Have you ever seen this movie?
I have not. I know. I think I know what it's about. It's like 2 guys falling in love in jail, right?
Yeah. Well, Jim Carrey's a scam artist in the movie.
Oh.
And he, oh man, I don't really remember it. He falls in love with Ewan McGregor's character in prison, and they get out, and he starts scamming again to give McGregor this lavish lifestyle, and he's pretty much just repeating his mistakes all over again. But so they're both gay, but the way that they play their characters, it just feels so real. Do you know what I mean? Like, you feel like they really love each other. and they're not like it's just really, really, really great and sad and funny, really funny. So it's actually one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies. I think it's on Netflix.
Oh, really? I'll have to check it out then.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend. Really good.
I want to jump back really quick to Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
Because I just remembered something. I once watched Inside the Actors Studio where they were interviewing Jim Carrey. James Lipton was. And they were talking about Man on the Moon. And Jim Carrey is not like a full-on method actor like some others. Like Ace Ventura, right? He was inspired by birds in the way he played that character. He dressed colorful. His hair was ridiculous. He was very, very animated when he walked. His head bobbed a lot. But if I remember correctly, Man on the Moon was one of the times when he actually decided to go like full on method. And in the interview, he was saying, he's just like, look, Jim Carrey is not in this movie. Andy Kaufman is coming back from the dead to be in this movie. Is basically the way he looked at that role. You know, like that dude, he tried to become Andy Kaufman for that movie.
Yeah, and he really was. But what's also interesting is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Oh man, what's that guy's name? The guy. Hold on. Let me look at this actor's real name. The Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
Was also in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yes, he was.
He was in an interview, and they were asking him what was Jim Carrey like on that, on the behind the scenes and stuff like that. And he actually said that he actually wasn't a fun guy to hang out with. Like
really?
He was like always in the corner, like listening to really, sad, melancholy music and stuff like that. And I thought that was pretty interesting. That like I've heard
it's probably for the movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was kind of being somewhat method
because
I mean?
like. I know for a fact that like Jim Carrey's a heavy metal fan.
Yeah.
You know, like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, there's that scene where he goes to meet his friend underneath like where the death metal show is going on. That band is Cannibal Corpse, which in the death metal scene is huge, right? Like there's not a lot of heavy metal fans who at the very least have never heard of Cannibal Corpse. And supposedly at the time that was Jim Carrey's favorite band. That's why they got him in the movie.
God, that scene where he walks in there and he just starts doing his little dance.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody's like shoving and pushing, and it's just like, dude, it is the fun. Oh God, it's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Everybody shoving and pushing. What you're referring to is a mosh pit.
Sorry. Well, I mean, it wasn't like they weren't like in the actual pit. You know what I mean? Like they were on the outskirts of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was still, the whole room was pretty much a mosh pit.
Yep. All right, let's jump forward a little bit. We left off on A Christmas Carol.
Yep.
He did Mr. Popper's Penguins in 2011, which I didn't see. Cause isn't that just a remake of a really old movie?
I don't know if it's a remake, but I've seen it, and it was a kid's movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all right.
The Incredible Burt Wonderstone in 2013. I haven't seen that movie, but I've had a few people tell me about what his character is, and he's supposed to be a parody of Chris Angel, and I endorse that 100%.
I've never seen it, which is surprising considering that it's Jim Carrey and Steve Carell.
Yeah, exactly. But like, just getting off topic slightly, like I really like Magic, right? Like I love like Penn and Teller and guys like them and whatnot. They have a TV show right now called Penn and Teller Fool Us, and I watch everything I can for that. And like I've seen Chris Angel's show Mind Freak, and I don't hate Chris Angel. I hate the people they get on the show because they're like, oh my God, it's real. And Chris Angel is just like, yes, it is real. And I'm like, no, it's fucking not. I already know how you did that. But anyway, so to see somebody like, I need to watch that movie. So I want to see him make fun of Chris Angel and Chris Angel's TV show.
I think he has long hair in that movie too, which is like, and like I think the poster was like wind blowing his hair back, and it looked pretty ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So I'm on board to watch it for sure. And then he goes to Kick-Ass 2.
Did you watch it?
I've watched that movie, and he's actually publicly stated that he doesn't endorse that film.
Yeah, exactly. It was right after Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is too bad because like his character in that movie was funny. I liked him, but like I mean, I guess I kind of get it. You're a famous person. You have to pick a side. You can't ride the middle.
Yeah, and that was, it was it was obviously Sandy Hook was a huge deal, and he's a father, so it probably hit him, a little deeper, and yeah, I mean, yeah, when that came out, like that news, um, I wasn't really upset. It's kind of like, I mean, at least he's standing up for. So I mean, he's starring in a movie. They paid him, and he's like, I can't. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I can't. Like it's I don't know. There's
Well,
yes,
it makes me wonder, like how much stuff would he have had? Because if his character died in the movie, right?
I
Spoiler
believe
alert.
so. Yeah.
So they probably, if that was the case, they probably killed him because he didn't want to do
Hello,
anything else with the movie. It makes me wonder how much more could we have seen with that character.
David.
So I thought that character was funny. Oh, god damn it. We lost connection again. I'm not editing this out. I want to keep it. Hello? Josh.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not going to edit that out.
Okay.
Damn it.
Yeah, his character does die
Lost
in that
connection
movie.
again. Here we go. Stupid fucking Comcast bullshit internet access cutting out on us all the fucking time. I don't know if you heard me, but I said I'm not going to edit that out. We're going to keep it.
Yeah, I heard you.
All right,
It's all good.
It's funny. I think it's funny. Our viewers better think it's funny, or we're not going to do it anymore.
I think his character does die in that movie in Kick-Ass 2, but I think that what's it called? I think that was all filmed and wrapped before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
he was doing like promotion or something for the movie, and that's when he was like, I can't endorse it. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So after that, he had an uncredited role in Anchorman 2, which I also didn't see.
You don't need to.
Everybody told me it wasn't as funny as the first one, so I was like, yeah, I'll just keep the first one being good and, keep the sweetness in my mouth instead of the bitter taste of disappointment.
Yeah.
Which is, moving on to the next movie, also what I heard about Dumb and Dumber 2.
Yeah, I did not watch that movie. I couldn't. Like, I I have as you know, a deep love for Jim Carrey. Obviously, we're doing this podcast, but I also have a deep love for Jeff Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing them again, like doing these characters, when I watched the first trailer, I was like, I'm getting no satisfaction from this whatsoever.
Really?
At
Because
all.
I liked the trailer.
No, like
I was on board with it.
no, it made me feel like a little upset. Like I don't know, like this sounds so bad because I love these men so much, but especially, uh, like, yeah, it didn't hit me. It made me feel sad.
Sidetracking a little bit on the subject of Jeff Daniels, there is a movie that Jeff Daniels made a very long time ago that takes place in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The movie is called Escanaba into Moonlight, and all it does is it pokes fun of Yoopers. Do you know what Yoopers are?
No.
Yoopers are people from the Upper Peninsula, the UP. We call them Yoopers. Yoopers are this really, really strange mix between like rednecks and Canadians. I can do a little bit of a Yooper accent right now. It's super super weird and a little bit difficult. But the Yoopers, they walk around and they talk like this, and they every year they got to go up to the deer camp to go hunting the bucks, and a deer camp and deer hunting is everything for them up there.
I've never heard of this movie.
It was such a small movie. There's like 5 actors in it, all of which are they're just people that Jeff Daniels knows. Apparently, like a long time ago, the whole Escanaba thing was this sketch on a TV show that he used to do, or something like that. My old man explained it to me, but I don't really remember. But if you like Jeff Daniels, this one is worth watching. Just because you got to understand, it's like super low budget, which I don't think is an issue for you.
No.
It is not a perfect movie by any definition, but there are some really, really good laughs in it.
Man, I forgot that Jeff Daniels. Looking at his filmography, it's it's really good too. Like he was in Looper. Oh man, I love that movie so much. Anyway, yeah. So I didn't get any satisfaction from seeing the trailer for Dumb and Dumber 2. It made me feel sad that men in their 50s were portraying characters that they portrayed in 2 decades ago.
I need to watch it before I pass judgment. I liked the trailer. I heard it wasn't as funny as the first one, so I didn't move it up on my priority list of things to watch. But I'm definitely going to watch it. I downloaded it. I can watch it anytime I want. I just haven't done it yet.
I'll probably give it a watch too, just to see. What is moving right along?
Are we going to like actual talking points now? We discussed his career and gushed a whole bunch.
I think so.
All right. So I'm ready. Let's do this. First, real talking points. Let's be serious, although not. Jim Carrey wouldn't be.
What do you think his best movie is?
Jim Carrey's best movie. Liar, Liar. I'm gonna go with Liar, Liar.
I went with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I can see why you would do that.
Yeah, it's a very I love it, and I've always loved it. But I mean, Liar Liar, it's like, yeah, Liar Liar is literally right behind it. I mean, Liar Liar is so strong.
It's right. It's like it's Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, but compared to his other movies, the silliness is toned down a lot, with a few exceptions. Right? Like there's the scene where he's having the argument with the pen. Mm-hmm. Right, like that got a little silly. The scene where he's beating himself up in the bathroom, that got a little silly. But the part where he's interviewing Mr. Falk, the guy who fucked Jennifer Tilly's character.
Oh my god,
that part got silly. Okay, but there's a lot of stuff in there where he's not playing this rubber-faced character. You know, he's playing a funny guy who happens to be a lawyer and is going through this unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, it is just so good. And so, dude, I watched it a couple weeks ago. It holds up incredibly well.
100%.
100%. It is. In fact, I laughed just as hard today as I laughed the first time when I was watching it. Yeah, it is hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, realistically, the only thing that doesn't translate from, when was it, 1997? The only thing that doesn't translate to 2016 is the phones they used. Other than that, that's a timeless movie, other than that one small thing. Like, there are going to be, like, people younger than us who are going to hit their early 20s, and somebody's going to be like, you need to watch this movie. And, they'll like, if they don't laugh just as hard at it, there's something wrong with them. Their brain needs to be fixed.
I mean, it was so funny that I honestly, didn't catch the phone stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's how funny it was.
Exactly.
It was just so great. And what do you think his worst movie is?
Worst movie?
Yeah. I'm not gonna. This was a little hard for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to pull up the list again. I minimized it on my computer. His worst movie. See, there's a bunch on here I haven't seen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The ones that I have seen, like, I absolutely adore, right? So it's hard to... I don't know. Of the ones I've seen, the worst one... Okay. I can tell you which one I liked the least.
What was that?
You're going to hate me. You're absolutely going to hate me. The Truman Show. Now, please allow me to explain.
I don't even care. I don't even want your explanation.
The reason I liked this one the least, right? And I'm sure if I watched it again, I might think differently. I probably would. But I had to... The first time I watched it was in high school. And this teacher that I absolutely hated because she was dumb as a bag of rocks. Like, we watched so many movies. It was a creative writing class, which was... a blow-off class anyway. But we had to watch so many movies. We watched, like, dude, every 2 or 3 weeks we watched a new movie. And we had to just sit there and, like, try to pull out all of the metaphors and the stuff that it's talking about and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I try to tell this woman, sometimes a movie's pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. There's not always a hidden meaning in it. And like, yeah, I mean, there's always parallels you can draw and you can look for deeper meaning if you want to, but you're retarded half the time. But it's just like that movie only left a bad taste in my mouth because I had to watch it for a teacher that I couldn't stand. Every chance I could get to like put this woman down, like indirectly, I tried to be super subtle, and like I just tried to like, you know, just I tried to show the whole class that she was full of shit, you know, in a very subtle way, I guess. I'm not gonna get into it. But like I said, I hated this teacher, and I had, God, this is bringing back a flood of bad memories right now. I had to watch the movie Stepmom with Julia Roberts and
yeah.
what's her name? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon, and the dude who played the director in The Truman Show.
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris, that's it. He was in there. Can't stand that movie. Partly because of the class, also because I can't stand Julia Roberts.
Oh my gosh.
What?
It's just, you're just saying ridiculous things right now.
What, do you like Julia Roberts?
Yes.
We're going to save this for another episode. We will come back to this. All right.
I'm ready. Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, I'm not picking The Truman Show as his worst movie. I don't believe that for a second. I'm picking it as the one I liked the least, which is important. But that's not Jim Carrey's fault. It's not the movie's fault. It's just, you know, I was a stupid teenager, basically. But okay, trying to pick the worst one. The worst one I've seen. I don't know.
I think the worst one.
I can't pick. I can't pick a bad movie.
I think the worst one for me is the number 23. Like
We're gonna fight.
No. I don't want to fight. It's just like I don't like that movie. Like it's just, you know how we're just talking about this with Kubo and the Two Strings. Some movies just don't hit you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
I feel you.
Yeah, they don't speak to you at all. And this is one of those movies that just I was like. I also feel that way though about How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Like I think that was a good performance by Jim Carrey, 100%.
No.
But
that was an amazing performance,
No,
and I'll tell you why. Because Jim Carrey's gone on record of talking about how horribly uncomfortable that suit was. And how, like, in the middle of a take, he would just stop and start ripping it off as quickly as he could because it itched horribly. So the fact that he could do anything in that suit is amazing in and of itself.
No, I mean, I'll never... Look, I'm behind you 100%. It was a great performance. But it just wasn't that good of a movie. Like, I don't know. I just didn't like it.
I mean, how many Dr. Seuss movies have they been? We got The Grinch and we got The Cat in the Hat that I know of.
Yeah, and out of those two movies, I would definitely take How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah, definitely. That being said, The Cat in the Hat had one scene that just always cracks me up, and it's when they do the fake infomercial thing for the Cupcakeinator.
Oh, yeah.
And there's, like, the annoying host and the guy bringing out the product, and, like, the guy bringing out the product just berates the host over and over again. I almost peed myself laughing. I would probably say that How the Grinch Stole Christmas is probably a better movie than The Cat in the Hat.
100%.
But in terms of like the laughs that are available, there's some good laughs to be found in The Cat in the Hat. There's a few.
Only from Jim Carrey to me. I mean, if it wasn't for Jim Carrey holding that movie together, it would be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it would be really bad.
They needed his name and his talent, you know.
I got one for you. That's. This is possibly the hardest question from this list, and that is the funniest Jim Carrey scene.
Okay, we're going purely subjective on this.
Yes,
right.
100%.
Like, okay, so my favorite Jim Carrey scene, I sent you the video clip a few days ago. It's the projector room from Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. That scene to me, like, I can't tell you how many times I pissed off my parents by quoting that scene and making the motions with my hands, especially the nipples part. They hated that.
That's a really. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little surprised that was your pick, only because when I think of Jim Carrey's funniest scenes, that's not one of the ones that comes through my head. And that's kind of why I love talking about it with you, is like this kind of stuff, is because we've all seen pretty much almost all these movies, and scenes stick out. There's certain scenes that stick out to you, and there's certain scenes that stick out to me, and those aren't always the same thing. So it's like really interesting to see how different, you know what I mean? Like I never would have thought that that scene would have came into your head. Like, for me, it would have been Liar Liar when they're playing that tape, and he's drinking water, and he's like, "Oh, come on!" Dude, every fucking time.
I think, real quick, in the movie Liar Liar, Jennifer Tilly's tits should have gotten their own spot in the credits.
I mean, they should have won an Academy Award. I mean, they were amazing. Oh man,
Jennifer Tilly, I love her.
Yeah,
I love looking at her.
You know, I like her voice.
I believe it or not, I like her in the Chucky movies.
I've never seen those movies.
She's got it's after like Bride of Chucky or something like that. I forget. I haven't seen many of the Chucky movies, but I did see one where like she ends up getting turned into a doll, and like her voice is just perfect for what's happening in the movie. I'm not trying to say they're good movies. I'm only saying that Jennifer Tilly was a really good casting choice.
I'm actually surprised she never. Well, I don't know, but I feel like she never took off as an actress or even a voice actress.
Didn't she do porn originally?
I gotta look that up.
Yeah, I'm Googling it right now.
I don't know.
Pornhub's got it. Yep. Go to Pornhub and search for Jennifer Tilly, and there you go. She's there. It's old stuff. It's like really old stuff, 80s, 90s. Yep.
And what do you think? That's really surprising, that scene that you picked. It's really funny.
Dude, Ace Ventura is like, I'm pretty sure Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls was my first experience with Jim Carrey, and like I adored that movie as a child. Had it on VHS, watched it as often, like whenever the fuck I wanted. I was just like, I want to watch Ace Ventura, and my younger brother and sister didn't really have a say in the matter because I was the older sibling. My older sister, though, she was, I don't want to.
I love when that guy's balancing and he's shooting spitballs at him.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Oh, so great.
I love when he's walking around the village going, "Bumblebee tuna." I had no idea what bumblebee tuna was until I was much older. I didn't know that was just a brand of tuna you could buy.
God.
The scene where they spit in his face and he goes, "Well, let me show you my affection."
Yeah.
And he hawks these amazing loogies on somehow onto himself too.
They all come out and they're all dripping.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought in that movie, it was looking back on it, because I didn't really think about it as a child, but like the fact that he is afraid of bats, I think is actually a really, really good thing, right? Because nobody's perfect. Nobody is absolute when it comes to everything. So for him to have that one thing that he doesn't like, and it's bats, for some reason he just doesn't like bats, he'll take literally anything else. Like, to see Jim Carrey in his animated rubbery way freak out whenever he gets close to it is just brilliant. The scene in the cave where he's just like, "That's okay, I've got my medallion," and he's just like, "Die, Satan spawn," or whatever. And he's like, "That's okay, all I really need is my torch." And then he fucking throws that too, and he just runs out of the cave screaming as the bats come out. Like, it was so amazing.
Yeah, I actually really did love that was established in the second movie where, he doesn't, maybe he doesn't like every animal because he doesn't like bats. I thought that was, I do love that because, I love dogs. I don't love every single dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But so, yeah, they're right. You're right. There is no absolutes. There's always exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was, even for somebody as passionate as Ace, so I thought that was really a good twist to add to the movie.
Yeah, you can't help being human,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
me personally, right? Like, I wouldn't go so far as to say I'm an animal lover. I do really like animals. I do want to have a lot of pets when I actually like settle down and have a wife and a house and stuff like that. But like I do not like bees. I do not like hornets, wasps, things that fly and sting freak me the fuck out. But I love honey. Yeah, hate bees, love honey. I don't want the bees to go away. I just want them to go away from me.
All right, so the next one is most underrated Jim Carrey movie.
The number 23.
And I picked I Love You, Philip Morris.
Unfortunately, we already established I haven't seen that.
Yep.
I would probably agree, only because people talk about that movie less than they talk about the number 23.
Yeah.
I would actually probably change my answer to that movie. Because, like, I didn't even know it came out. I didn't even know it was a thing until, like, 2 years after it came out. I'd never even heard of it.
Yeah, so it came out in 2009, and I don't even think I found out about it until I was in Japan, which was 2010 to 2011. So yeah, I found out about it even a year later, and that was only because I just stumbled upon it. And when I watched it, I was kind of blown away by it, by how, well, I love Ian McGregor a lot.
Yeah, me too. Ewan McGregor's top quality actor.
Yeah, and seeing them as a kind of a gay couple, I was like, oh, I am on board for this. Like, let's do this. So yeah, it's really good.
Getting sidetracked onto other actors again, which I've done twice now. Now we're going for 3.
There you go.
Ewan McGregor, my first experience with him was Star Wars, right? But when I was in Japan, there was a girl that I was seeing briefly. She made me watch Moulin Rouge.
Really good.
Oh my god, that movie blew me away. I had no idea. And apparently, like, Ewan McGregor, like all that singing was all him. I was amazed. I could, like,
Yeah.
I was very, very happy with that movie.
Yeah, actually, I mean, well, I like musicals personally, but I love that movie. I thought it was really great. And
I'm not gonna say I like musicals. I'm super selective about musicals. There's only like 3 that I like.
yeah,
But Moulin Rouge is one of them.
yeah, really good movie.
The other one, you're gonna hate me for this, probably Sweeney Todd.
No, I don't hate you for that. No, that's a strong movie.
I know some people like that movie's polarizing. I know some
Yeah.
people who are just like, ew, you like Sweeney Todd? What's wrong with you? Haven't you seen the play? And I'm like, no, I don't have fucking money to go to the theater.
I feel like for some reason, and this here we go for number 4 with trailing off about other actors, but I feel like Johnny Depp, for some reason now, he's polarizing,
Yeah.
which is crazy because at one time he was, I mean, the biggest movie star on the planet.
Pirates of the Caribbean, that's what did
Yeah.
it. Pirates
Yeah.
of the Caribbean was what skyrocketed him out there. Jack Sparrow is such a lovable character.
Yeah. So I mean, and I'm not really like a huge Johnny Depp fan. I never have been. I've been consistent. But
Well, don't you feel fucking special? Do you want a cookie?
I do.
Go fuck yourself.
But I've never called him a bad actor. Like he's always, even in movies movies that people don't like, he's making choices as an actor, and I respect him for that. Like he's always doing 110%. I've never seen him phone a performance in. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right. What's next on your list?
best Jim Carrey performance. Now this is solely Jim Carrey.
Yeah. So Jim, exactly. No bullshit. I'm gonna, for the same reason I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna go with How the Grinch Stole Christmas, just because I know about what he suffered through making that movie.
Okay, so on my list is The Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But
I totally understand those choices. Those were dramatic roles, and even in the Truman Show, he got to be funny in the beginning.
yeah, but yeah, I'll stick with those. I wanted to change it, but you know what? I'll stick with those. I now especially single out Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I thought, even with The Truman Show, yeah, he was doing, he was playing a dramatic role and stuff, but he was still kind of being funny, and it was kind of a comedy. Whereas I feel like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was not a comedy whatsoever at all.
Yeah, absolutely. There was I didn't even smile when I watched that movie. Even when Elijah Wood came out and he started creepy and then you found out he was just a douchebag, like yeah, I didn't even smile in the 47 minutes of that movie that I watched.
Yeah, so I feel like, people that watch The Truman Show are probably like, oh, wow, Jim Carrey is actually kind of acting. But people that watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, they were like, oh, wow, Jim Carrey is acting, and he's only acting.
Yeah.
Like, he's not relying at all on jokes.
Yeah.
So I'd probably single that performance out the most.
I totally agree with you on that. I think that's definitely at the top. My personal pick is still How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but that's, I've already talked about that.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that he ripped off, 'cause until you just now told me. I didn't know that he ripped off his.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it was a struggle.
that's surprising. I mean, not surprising, but
There's a
that it's
there's
that itchy that he, you know, rips it off in the middle of a scene. Like, that's got to be so excruciating.
Exactly. He was during the Inside the Actor Studio interview. Like the interview was taking place in front of James Lipton's students, and like one of the things he told them was just like, "You're gonna have to do stuff that is hard, right?" And you know, he was referencing playing the Grinch and whatnot, and he goes, "But like you have to suffer through that in order to do it," and he was trying to do the motivational, like, you got to work hard in order to get it, blah 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 blah. But like, he basically said, he's like, you're gonna do stuff that sucks, all right, but you got to do it. That's what you're getting paid for. That's what the people watching the movie want to see. And the audience is the most important aspect of a movie.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't realize that. Like, they look at acting and like, they think that being an actor is easy and it's awesome because you're a celebrity and stuff like that. But
oh hell no, you work insane hours.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really have like
you don't get much of a social life while you're filming.
Yeah, but even when you are out, like, as a normal person, people recognize you
Absolutely
all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it may sound awesome, like, ooh, people will know me, but I mean, think about it really. How long would that stay awesome? Imagine
trying to go to dinner with your family someplace public and you're just constantly being berated with people. Stuff like that. Being a famous actor is no walk in the park.
Yeah, especially if you're someone like well, what's interesting is like Daniel Day-Lewis, like people that are method actors where they stay in character literally the whole time they're filming.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how that must be crazy.
Yeah, well, Jim Carrey, from my understanding, is not like that most of the time.
Yeah.
From what you said about Eternal Sunshine, like, he was probably trying to keep the right frame of mind. I imagine he was doing that because it was so different than what he's used to.
Yeah, he had to get himself in that mindset.
Yeah, like, I've seen the outtakes of Liar Liar, right? And everybody's laughing. Everybody's always laughing.
Looks so fun.
I feel like you would not be... Jim Carrey would not allow you to be sad around him.
No.
It's like, even... Yeah. So...
And the last one I have on my list is most underrated Jim Carrey performance.
Okay. What did you write?
I actually put Me, Myself, and Irene. I was just watching this movie, and first of all, I love this movie. I really love it. It's one of my favorites. I forgot how funny it was. And as I was watching it, I'm 27 years old, and I've watched a lot of movies. And as I'm watching it, I'm noticing that Jim Carrey, when he's going back and forth between, between, he plays Charlie and his alter ego is Hank.
Yep.
When he's going back and forth between these two characters, everything about Jim Carrey is changing. The way his facial expression, the way he walks, his mannerisms, the tone of his voice and the cadence of his voice. And as I'm watching it now, I'm like, man, this Jim Carrey is really, really giving 110% right now. Like, it is amazing. And how seamlessly he transitions from one to the other, it's just like, it's amazing. And
especially at the end when, like, they're fighting with each other.
Oh my god, like when he throws him out of the car, or he thinks he throws him out of the car, and then Hank jumps back in the car and looks in the rearview mirror and he goes, how the hell did you get here? And it's just like it is perfection. I loved it. So that's my choice. I feel like that's really underrated. And I feel like with comedy, people can think like, oh, they're just being funny, it's easy. And they don't really look at, the acting that is going behind this performance. Yeah, it's pretty insane.
My pick for most underrated performance, I'm gonna pick I Love You, Philip Morris, a movie I haven't even seen, but that's also like the big thing. Nobody talks about that movie. I Love You, Philip Morris almost never comes up when you're talking about Jim Carrey, I've been talking about Jim Carrey for years, and like I said, I didn't even know it came out. I didn't even know it existed until a few years after it came out, So, you telling me how good of a movie it was, makes me feel like, that's probably a movie that a lot of people need to watch, if they really want to see what Jim Carrey can do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a scene in the movie where, like, towards the beginning, where it shows Jim Carrey fucking a guy in the ass, and the guy's like saying like,
That's usually how guys fuck.
exactly, and he's saying, "Yeah, come my ass," like to Jim Carrey. Yeah, dude, and it is like, I mean, shocking. Not because like they're gay. I don't give a shit about that, but like it's Jim Carrey. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like I just never would imagine Jim Carrey being in a movie like this. And seeing it, it's like, this is amazing. And I think it's actually based off a true story. Like,
I remember hearing that.
Yeah, the person he's playing is, this guy really existed, so, which is, even cooler. And, yeah, it's just really good. That, and, I mean, the other person he portrayed, Andy Kaufman, Man on the Moon, even that performance too is really underrated. It's a really great movie, and I feel like Jim Carrey really embodied Andy Kaufman. Like, yeah, and Tony Clifton, like his ballroom singer alter ego. Like, I don't know if it's just really good, really strong. Yeah, so.
All right, that's the end of the list, right?
That's the end of the list.
All right, let's just do more gushing. This is supposed to be a love letter to Jim Carrey, right? That's what we're doing. Let's just take it all in, or well, let's let it all out.
I really feel his portrayal of Edward Nygma, the Riddler.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that much.
I feel like it was wasted on
Agreed.
such a bad movie.
Yeah.
And, like, he gets lumped in with, how bad the movie is just because he was in the movie, but like,
yeah,
I feel like out of everybody, he was
even something like one of the things that I really like about that movie is just, like, once he actually becomes the Riddler, the way he starts handling his cane and he twirls it around a little bit. Like, Jim Carrey had to learn to do that stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was just a really, really nice touch on what he did. And I do feel like Jim Carrey was a really good choice for the Riddler. 100%. For a super campy Batman movie, like Jim, yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like, okay, yeah, it's really campy, and Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face is really
out there.
Ugh. But I feel like almost everything else in the movie, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't like, what's that kid's name? Chris O'Donnell playing Robin. Garbage. That kid is garbage. He is human.
He wasn't a kid then. He's not a kid now.
Yeah, he was fucking terrible. But Val Kilmer as Batman, I didn't have a problem with that much. Like, I guess because that movie kind of focused a lot on Batman, Bruce Wayne's, like, just his mind. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah, because he was seeing the shrink that did the Rorschach tests.
Exactly.
Well, they didn't do Rorschach tests. She had a Rorschach test hanging in her house.
Yeah, but I didn't mind him, man. Like, I don't think he's that bad. He was that bad of a Batman.
No, he's not George Clooney.
Oh God. Which is kind of funny because George Clooney now is like a really great actor.
Yeah.
But back then, oh my God.
I remember after they announced that Ben Affleck was going to play Batman, George Clooney made a statement. He said, "I don't know why you would ask for my opinion on Ben Affleck being Batman. I've got nothing to say after I butchered that character."
That's interesting.
The Batman credit card scene.
Oh my God, dude. Makes me sick. Ugh.
And the way they bastardized Bane in that movie. And Arnold Schwarzenegger's ice puns.
Wow. Yeah. That's a really bad movie. Jeez.
I liked it when I was a kid. I didn't know any better.
I wonder though. No, never mind. I was gonna say I wonder
We're
if
we're getting a little far off topic,
yeah,
further than normal.
yeah, yeah. But Jim Carrey, that was a good performance. And I actually liked there's a scene in that movie between him and Val Kilmer where they're actually discussing Nigma's. I forgot what the
The
device is.
device he was inventing,
Yeah,
the
the
beginning
device.
of the movie.
And I actually really like that scene where,
He's super neurotic.
yeah, and he's almost like I mean, he is copying Wayne's like mannerisms,
Hmm.
and I kind of love that. Like, he's like so fascinated and so jealous of Bruce Wayne that he's like copying him and stuff like that right in front of him. And I thought it was really funny and really I thought Jim Carrey was doing a really good job of it. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, but you and I have discussed in the past though, like a single actor can't save a movie.
No, no,
You know, I don't care how good their performance is. It takes more than one to make a movie. It takes, I would say two to tango, but that's not exactly accurate.
that's funny that Ace Ventura: Pet Detective has higher ratings than When Nature Calls, but we both like When Nature Calls more.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it was because we saw because I don't remember what my first Jim Carrey movie was, but I do remember I saw When Nature Calls before Pet Detective. I know
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wonder if it was because we watched it before.
Do you want to know what I attribute it to? Because I just watched both of them this weekend in a row.
Hmm.
It's that Jim Carrey says and does a lot of the things in When Nature Calls that he did in Pet Detective, but they're just a little bit different,
Yeah.
right? Like when he crashes the car in front of the house in When Nature Calls and he says like a glove. He does the same thing in Pet Detective when he like spins the car into the side of the road or the side of the parking lot or whatever, and he parks on the yellow line, and he says like a glove, but it's just a little bit different,
Yeah. I
right?
wonder
He
if it
says
was.
it
It's a little
I
bit
think
more comfortable. With the second
exactly.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like for us, that's what we're used to. I make this comparison a lot with watching anime because you can watch it English dub or you can watch it Japanese with English subtitles, and whichever version I watch first is the one I always prefer
Huh.
because that's the one I got used to. Those are the voices that I know, right? Dragon Ball Z, I'll only watch it in English. Well, I say I prefer to watch it in English. Something like the Attack on Titan, which came out a couple years ago. That one I'll only watch Japanese. And it's just because you get used to it. That's you get involved with these characters, and those are the mannerisms that you learn. And even though in Ace Ventura it's the same character, it's just a tiny, tiny bit different in how he delivers certain lines. And I think that might actually be, at the very least, a piece of it.
Mm.
It might also be the fact that, like, it's the first one we watched first. It's the way we were introduced to the character the first way, and we loved it, so.
Yeah, I really loved him too. And I mean, speaking of like really just animated performances, which is pretty much his whole career, but I feel like in A Series of Unfortunate Events, as his character's Count Olaf, he, I don't know, man, I just thought that was really, really an opportunity for him to kind of go into the darker side a little bit, but still be really animated and I just love that performance. I thought it was so good.
It's also like the fact that he's wearing an obscure costume, right? Like a lot of his characters, for the most part, wear normal clothes, right? Ace Ventura dressed kind of weird, but he still wore regular pants, belt, a tank top, and a fucking aloha shirt. But that was his choice because his inspiration was birds. He wanted to be colorful. But it's more or less you could almost say he's dressing relatively normal. But in A Series of Unfortunate Events, he's actually got this costume on, and he's not dressed like a person in the modern day.
Yeah.
So I think that also helped allow him to do more with the character. Plus, he was always wearing black and gray, So and those are always the colors of dark characters.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. I love that movie personally. I feel like it doesn't really get. It actually didn't make it. The budget was 140 million, and it only made 213 million, which that's obviously why there's not a second one.
Which is funny because nowadays that is more than enough to get a second one made. People lose their shit over sequels nowadays, right? Like all you need to do to get a sequel nowadays is get your budget back.
Do you think so, really? Because I feel like, I don't
We
know.
get so many sequels.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish we didn't.
And I'm excluding specifically movies that are trying to do the expanded universe, right? Marvel and DC, and then other people are working on it as well. I remember hearing they're trying to do the Universal movie monsters one.
Yes.
Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, Swamp Thing, stuff like that, right? I've heard that's what they're going for. The End of Dracula Untold alluded to that. I didn't see the Frankenstein movie that came out with Daniel Radcliffe and what's his name? You know what I'm talking about? The guy who plays Professor X right now.
John McAvoy.
John McAvoy, that's it.
Is that part of the universe?
I was under the impression that it was. I haven't seen it yet.
Neither have I. It got really...
It probably got really bad reviews, but
Yeah.
Dracula Untold got bad reviews. Which I'm not saying Dracula Untold was good, but if you go watch that movie, don't expect much, and you'll have a good time. There's a lot of cool action in it. They do some really neat tricks. But anyway, so but it's like there's sequels everywhere. We just got Finding Dory. They're making Bad Boys 3 if they haven't already made it. Like the fucking this probably isn't a good example, but the Fast and the Furious movies, but they always make money. Well, not always. Some of the first ones, not so much. Tokyo Drift, I don't think did that well.
Well, they make a lot of money now.
Yeah, absolutely, because people are losing their shit over it. But yeah, no, like nowadays, they'll guarantee you if they would have released a series of unfortunate events in like 2013, 2015 or something like that, there'd be a sequel. Guarantee it. They got more than their budget back, which means that another one will probably make at least that much money.
Wow. Victor Frankenstein with James McAvoy and Daniel Radcliffe cost $40 million to make, and it only made $34.2 million.
Damn.
Didn't even make its budget back.
Yeah, nobody talked about it after it came out. I saw trailers for it and never heard anybody talk about it.
Well, I watched the reviews by guys like Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns and stuff like that, and yeah, they weren't. I mean, well, I think if I remember correctly, Chris Stuckman was like, no, no, but yeah. I think I'm gonna watch the number 23 again. You're kind of convincing me a little bit to go just check it out. I'm not expecting an award-winning movie, but maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on it.
I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't watch it again, because like we already said, they're like, okay, you said the number 23 just didn't really resonate with you, right? Like you watched it and it just wasn't your thing, right? The same way Kubo and the Two Strings wasn't.
Yeah.
And like for me, that it's the same thing as Eternal Sunshine, right? Like that was a movie I thought I would really, really enjoy, but I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me for some reason. It had cool stuff in it. I was amazed at all the actors in it. Mark Ruffalo was in it, or Ruffalo, or however the fuck you pronounce his name. I don't know.
Ruffalo.
Yeah, Ruffalo. Like, his character didn't really speak that much from what I did see, but I was amazed at the cast. I kept getting surprised. I was like, holy shit, this person's in this movie. Kirsten Dunst out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Back when she was a thing. So it's like I don't know why. I have no idea why I didn't like that movie. I really don't. I was bored.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever watched because he also is in another Dr. Seuss movie where I think he's the main character. Let's see if he's
Horton Hears a Who.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie.
Never watched it either. That movie came out around the time when I was just like, I'm not interested in family animated movies because I'm a rebellious teenager.
Well, I think.
2008. Yeah, that was definitely okay. 2008, I was 20, right? But I was still in that stupid phase. All I cared about was drinking Jägermeister and trying to get laid.
I'm also, dude. I don't know what I love. Dr. Seuss, and I love Dr. Seuss books and stuff like that. I think they're great. I don't have any desire though to see a Dr. Seuss movie, whether that be live action or animation. Like I just don't care.
What was the last one that came out that had Danny DeVito in it? You know what I'm talking about. I didn't see that one either. If I ever have children in the future, and I'm probably not, but if I ever do, like, I'll definitely get them Dr. Seuss books, you know.
The
Although
Lorax.
the Lorax, that's it. Although I'll probably be in Sweden, so I don't know how well Dr. Seuss translates to Swedish.
Mm, I would imagine. I don't know. Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
true.
Everybody in Sweden speaks English, so who cares? But anyway, jumping back to Jim Carrey, my roommate and I, to this day, and we've been friends for like 14 years, right? To this day, we randomly spout out bits of Dumb and Dumber at each other.
Oh, really?
Like at least every 2 weeks, something from Dumb and Dumber comes out of one of us. It's ridiculous. Like when we were teenagers, we watched that movie like 5 times together. I managed to get a copy of the extended edition or the director's cut or whatever it is that had a few scenes extended, and we watched that and we were like, holy shit, I know why they left this out. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, do you remember the scene where they're at the gas station and Lloyd's in the bathroom and Seabass shows up? All right, so there's an extended scene after he breaks the door open, Lloyd freaks out, right? And then it cuts to Harry doing his thing, and then it cuts back, and like Lloyd's in the corner, and Seabass is pushing him down, and he's going, "Find a happy place, find a happy place." In the extended version, Seabass undoes his pants, drops it, reveals his banana hammock, grabs his junk, and goes, "I'll give you a happy place." And I was like, "Holy shit!"
Jeez.
Yeah, it's in there. It's a real thing.
You know, even though we did this whole list thing, I think if I had to pick one movie though that I would want to watch as a Jim Carrey movie consistently, it'd be Liar Liar. Even though I love other movies more on this list, I still think for rewatchability purposes, it's Liar Liar. Every
It's
time.
timeless.
Yeah.
We already established it's timeless. That movie will always be funny.
Yeah.
Unless we get to the point where we're in our species' future where we're flying around in hover cars and we can't live on the ground because it's so polluted and we live in sky apartments like the Jetsons, like that movie will always be funny.
Dude, there's just like little things like when he's like, "Do the claw to mom, Dad, do the claw to mom," and he goes, "Oh no, this is the claw's only weakness, sub-zero temperatures."
Yeah.
Dude, it's like little things that like it almost feels like, was this written or did Jim Carrey just come up with this off the top of his head? You know?
I wonder how much of what he does is improv. It's got to be a lot.
Yeah, and I love the deleted scenes too, where him and that actress are yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And she calls him overactor. And he just breaks completely. Like, oh, that's so great. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, dude, outtakes are comedy. Outtakes are always the best.
Yeah, really good. Is that your number one too for rewatchability? Like, if you had to pick one off the list just to pop in consistently, it would be Liar Liar,
Liar Liar or Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yep, absolutely. Because like they're relatable, right? Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, not relatable, right? Especially when nature calls. It takes place in Africa. Not a lot of people spend any time of their entire life. Most people never go to Africa, right? But like Ace Ventura, he's hilarious. Don't get me wrong. I adore Ace Ventura, but those movies are not timeless in the same way. You know, so Dumb and Dumber and Liar Liar, I feel, are two of the best Jim Carrey movies ever made.
I almost love the at least his storyline or his arc in Me, Myself, and Irene. How, you keep stuff bottled up for so long that, you just explode one day. Like, I don't know. I thought that was really, really interesting. Really funny, too. Like, yeah. I love that movie so much. I feel like I'm one of the only people that loves that movie.
Yeah, you probably are. No, I was talking about Jim Carrey stuff last week to some of the guys I work with. There was a couple of them that mentioned Me, Myself, and Irene that said I don't know if they said it was one of their favorites, but it was one of the movies they listed among movies with Jim Carrey that they like.
Well, it's also like kind of unnecessarily raunchy. And I feel like that's like the dildo thing, just that dildo stuff, like how he just keeps flopping it. It's like, first of all, dildos don't pop up in many movies. And,
this is true.
And that pops up like 5 times in that movie.
Yeah.
And it's like a solid dildo. It's like a foot long.
It's a recurring joke.
Yeah. Oh man, so great. Yeah. So, yeah, man, he was really, I mean,
Jim Carrey is exactly what Robin Williams was. Right? Everybody has memories about him and the roles that they watched him in, and like the effect that they had on their childhood and stuff like that, right? Like Jim Carrey has quite literally touched the hearts of billions.
Yeah.
Like you're hard pressed to find somebody in the world who's never seen a Jim Carrey movie, and people may speak people may speak poorly about specific movies, but nobody speaks poorly about Jim Carrey.
No.
Because Jim Carrey's a part of like everybody's life. At some point, he's there. And that's one of the most amazing things about him.
He's also just, I mean, if you see him in interviews, he's also just so fun to watch in interviews. Like I don't know, when you see a lot of actors doing press junkets and stuff like that, it's hard. It's kind of it can get monotonous, I'm assuming, for him. And he just seems like he's just having the time of his life all the time.
You want to know what we didn't really put enough thought or enough conversation into? In Living Color. We didn't talk about that much. Now, I haven't seen too much of In Living Color. I wasn't really watching it when it was on, but I've over the years I've watched a few clips every now and again. But the one thing that I always go back to when people talk about In Living Color, Fire Marshal Bill. Have you seen videos of Fire Marshal Bill?
No.
That is an insane character, and it's a scream. What's really, really funny is like, well, I don't know if this is the most funny thing about it, but this is the most interesting thing about it to me, right? Because the show ran for several years, right? But the character itself actually grew in a way. When he started off, he was just this super clumsy, super weird fire marshal that was always trying to prevent people trying to put in like all these fire safety things and whatnot. But he always had these accidents that would always end up causing fires, or like him getting dismembered in certain ways. But I just watched a clip the other day that I can only assume came much later, where he wasn't really trying. He shows up at a place. He wasn't trying to prevent a fire of any kind. He was talking about safety. And in this particular sketch, there had been riots recently, and they were reopening a grocery store, and Fire Marshal Bill shows up, and he ends up managing to trigger another riot. But if you look at the character, it's almost as if he's become very, very jaded in his own way about the fact that nobody ever takes him seriously, and he's always getting hurt and stuff like that. It's weird. You have to pay attention to it. But it's one of the things that I noticed just from watching a clip a couple weeks ago.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube, search for Fire Marshal Bill, and you'll find hundreds of videos.
He also, I didn't bring this up because I love The Office. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, the U.S. Office. And he has a small cameo at the end of season 7, I believe. And it's kind of a cameo that comes out of nowhere. They're looking for people to replace Steve Carell as the manager when he left the show. And he's one of the people that comes in and interviews. And he's doing this accent. And I think it's almost like a Minnesota accent. But it's so funny. His cameo
Minnesota.
Yeah. His cameo is only like 30 seconds. But it's just, I mean, it's Jim Carrey. You know what I mean? Like, it's all you need is 30 seconds of him, and you're like, I love this so much. I love this man.
It's so hard not to.
Yeah. He's definitely got, like you said, like Robin Williams, where they just have this this magnetism towards them where you want to be, like, you love them so much, and they're so funny, and they make you so happy that you wish you were constantly surrounded by these guys. You know what I mean?
How fun would it be to travel with Ace Ventura for a day?
Oh my God, the mating calls, like on the
plane.
On the plane, and did he have sunflower seeds in the second one too? He did, right?
No, in the second one it was peanuts.
Oh really?
Yeah, because the stewardess comes up to him and she goes peanut, and he goes he said, I forget exactly what he says. I forget the first part of it, but he's just like, no, thank you. I have one right here. It's bulky, but I consider it carry-on.
It's just so stupid. Oh man, I love it.
And he's just spitting him onto the what's the guy's name? Walton Greenwald or something like that. He's just like spitting him onto his hand, and like I don't know if the character wasn't supposed to notice or if he just kind of like gave up
I feel
on
like
what
it
he
was.
was dealing with.
I feel it was he gave up. He was just
Which
like
the slinky scene in that movie, in the
So
very
great.
beginning, the slinky scene, he gets all the way down to the end and he's like, "Oh, it was right there." Can we do it again?
I love. It's a quick scene, but I don't know why I love it so much when he walks into that guy's like game room.
Yeah.
This is a lovely room of death.
Take care now. Bye bye then.
Oh man, I love it so much.
Yep.
Or when he smacks the guy with the whip after he was smacking the horse.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
Funny, it didn't seem to hurt that much when you were doing it to the horse.
Which
So quotable.
I mean, that's actually kind of a funny scene too, because these are all funny scenes, but like the lovely room of death, and it didn't seem to hurt that much when you're doing it to the horse. Like small little, I don't know, funny, but also like if you think about what he's saying, it's like, well, that's kind of not really a joke. It's kind of like, yeah, I mean, he was hitting the horse, and people do it all the time, and they don't think about like, hey, you're actually like, hitting the fucking shit out of this horse, and it probably really hurts this horse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I don't, but that movie wasn't like
it wasn't
trying
doing
to
that.
draw attention to
No, no,
horse
no.
abuse.
No, no,
They
for
did it
sure.
for a gag.
For sure, but I mean, like, if you think about it, you're like, damn, it's funny, but it's also like, there's stuff in there that if you think about it, you're like, oh wow, that's actually kind of a good observation to do comedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's one of those things that most people wouldn't think about. Honestly, I never put any thought into it. Every time I watch that movie, I take the gag for what it is. It's just a joke. I never once thought beyond that. And like, I have a friend who owned horses most of her whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks for taking my thunder. Fuck me.
No, it's a valid point. It totally is a valid point. I just don't think most people think about it. That's all.
No, definitely not. Especially when these movies came out in the the mid '90s. Well, at least personally, I feel like the way we talk about issues now is not the way that they're not. It's not highlighted back then like it is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Stuff is spelled out a lot.
Yeah. The Mask, dude. I feel like we didn't really talk about The Mask, but talk about
Well, we talked about. I quoted it a little bit. And
a little
whatnot.
bit. But I
the
mean,
Mask.
like,
That's another great example of him giving a good performance, because like when he was wearing the green mask, that was makeup and some prosthetics. Like even his teeth, which were huge when he wore the mask, right? Like that's all him. He's wearing prosthetics. That's all costume. There was no CGI in 1994.
yeah.
I mean, there was a little bit when his dog Milo put the mask on. They went CGI. But like a lot of the stuff the Mask did was just Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And God, he had so many cool things in that movie. Like, when he goes to see Cameron Diaz in the park and the cops show up and they're like, freeze, and then he literally freezes. And put your hands on your head, but you told me to freeze.
Yeah.
Or like he shows up just acting like Pepe Le Pew.
I think that was actually Cameron Diaz's first role in a film, I believe, or one of her first.
Her first big role, I guess, if we can call The Mask big, which I think we can.
Yeah,
it's a movie a lot of people saw.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like.
I'm looking up Cameron Diaz on IMDb right now. Let's see. No, you're right. That is her first movie role, according to IMDb. That is wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about it.
That's such a good movie, and like a villain that you actually like hate. Like I remember as a little kid when I was watching this movie, I was like, I hate this villain. This guy's a dick. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Dorian.
Yeah, Dorian.
Yeah, nothing about him is likable at any point, and like that's, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you from the beginning he's the villain, right? Whereas like there's other movies where you see the villain and like they're usually kind of like cheeky in some way, or they've got their smart ass moments where they're a little bit likable. But no, Dorian from the beginning was just like, I'm the bad guy. I'm always going to be the bad guy, and this is how this movie works now.
Yeah. Oh, such a good movie. Yeah, I think that was at least when I was younger. Not now, but when I was younger, that was my Jim Carrey movie. Even over like Ace Ventura and When Nature Calls and stuff like that. The Mask was my go-to when I was a young kid. I love that movie.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I just watched it on Saturday, and I still had fun watching it the whole time.
I really wish, because this weekend I had to go to Houston and deal with family stuff, but like, yeah, you were messaging me and I was just really jealous. I was like, man, Jim Carrey research sounds like so much fun. Like,
Dave's so at home having fun and I'm hanging out with my family.
I hate my family. Oh, yeah. So you have not watched Man on the Moon?
I have not, unfortunately.
Yeah, that and I Love You, Philip Morris. I remember Man on the Moon used to be on Netflix. It's not anymore.
That's all right. I can get it.
Yeah, but that's a really good movie. I think you'll be surprised at that movie.
Most likely, because like realistically, the only thing I know about that movie is that it's about Andy Kaufman, and I know very little about Andy Kaufman.
I also knew very little. I knew he was in Taxi, but this is probably gonna be controversial. I don't like Andy Kaufman.
Really?
I don't think his humor's funny. I think he's kind of a dick, or he was kind of a dick.
Yeah, he's dead now.
Yeah, he's dead now. And I just didn't like him. And that's what I liked about. Well, I didn't like him when I did independent research, but when I watched Man on the Moon, Jim Carrey brought this, he just put this kind of humanizing portrayal in there, and you kind of maybe you still don't like him, but you understand him. And that's what I love about that movie is he took a guy that I didn't like at all and made me like sympathize. Like, oh, I get why this guy is that way. And I get his brand of comedy. And that's awesome. That's actually not that hard to do, or not easy to do with me. Usually when I hate somebody, I hate them. And that's it. Like, there's no changing it.
Now, here's the question I have for you. Did Jim Carrey change your opinion of Andy Kaufman's comedy? Have you gone back and watched anything from Andy Kaufman and ended up enjoying it more than you did the first time?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, he did do that.
Yeah, he did do that.
Now once you understood everything, once all the pieces fit together, that's when you started doing your thing? That's when you started liking it? That's cool. Yeah. That's powerful.
Like he used to do this stuff where he just would go on stage and eat a bowl of ice cream. That was it. Exactly. Like, well, when you hear about it, like Kaufman doing it, you're like, what? But then when you see like an actor doing it, portraying him, and you just see like the whole crowd, like, what the fuck is going on? Like you see it, and you see that that's the response that he wanted. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. You're almost like, oh, I get it now. Like he's not in it to amuse the audience. He's amusing himself. And yeah, that's what I got from it was he wasn't there for the audience. He was there for himself. And if the audience laughed, cool. If they didn't, I'm laughing. You know what I mean? Like, and that's well, nobody would do that nowadays.
Yeah, of course not. Well,
Yeah.
Bob Saget would.
Oh man.
You ever see Bob Saget do stand up?
Dude, the dad from Full House, but possibly the raunchiest motherfucker in the world.
Agreed.
Yeah, I also saw this bit where there's the documentary called
The Aristocrats?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
I watched that documentary.
Talk about
wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty rough.
You want to know something? When that movie came out, I had a friend tell me that Bob Saget is credited with having told the dirtiest version of that joke. And then I watched The Aristocrats, and he had like 2 minutes of it, and I was just like, that really wasn't all that bad. And then my friend's older brother told me this, so I don't know if it's true or not, but allegedly there was a show that Bob Saget did where he came out on stage, started the Aristocrats joke, told it for a straight hour, and then walked off stage. I find that difficult to believe, but given what I've seen of Bob Saget doing stand-up, totally possible.
I remember he was in. I used to kind of keep up with what's that show called on HBO where it's these douchey guys and one's an actor.
Is it the one where they want to create the club in Vegas or whatever? Because I know that had some Bob Saget cameos in it.
I don't even remember. But man, hold on. I'm gonna look this up. But uh, Bob Saget had a let's see. Damn, I'm totally blanking on this. It's these young guys that are one's an actor and they're all like living in Hollywood and stuff like that. And they go to like this party and Bob Saget's there, and he's like in a robe, like midday, and they're outside and they're next to the pool, and it's these young guys, and they're talking to these two really hot chicks, and Saget walks up and just like starts talking to the girls and like takes the girls away from the young guys, and they're all like, "What the fuck just happened?" And one guy goes, "Bob Saget just took your chicks." Like it was just so funny. Like it was.
Yeah, we're talking about the same show. I can't remember the name of it. Somebody in the comments, please tell us what it is.
Yeah, because I remember not liking the show, but yeah. Oh, that was funny. Yeah, Bob Saget's really, dude. It's so funny. Like you would never think that he would be that raunchy, but he's really, yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yep.
Oh, man, Entourage. That's what it's called.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Entourage. That's
Yeah.
the one.
That wasn't
All
gonna,
right.
that wasn't gonna sit right with me. I had to look that up. Oh man. Well, that's you have anything else on Jim Carrey besides us loving him and being in love with him?
I've got a lot more things I could say, but they're mostly like indirectly related to his movies. I know tons of little like neat little tidbits and factoids, and like you pick a Jim Carrey movie, and I've probably got something to talk about that movie that's not specifically Jim Carrey, but I mean, I think we got our point across. I think we let every like Jim Carrey is just a phenomenal human being, and he's really good at his job.
And I think I'm gonna look up more because even though I love Jim Carrey and I've always loved Jim Carrey, I don't really know much about his process and about like him personally, like behind the scenes stuff, and things that happened on set and everything like that. And I think I might look up more stuff now, because especially about how the Grinch Stole Christmas. I would love to hear anything he has to say about that.
If you can find, you won't be able to find it on YouTube because I searched for it this weekend. I really wanted to watch it. But if you can find the episode of Inside the Actor's Studio that has Jim Carrey in it, you're going to laugh your ass off. But Jim Carrey also gets very, very real. He talks about his childhood and how difficult it was and stuff like that, right? But he has some amazingly funny scenes. I'll give you a perfect example, all right? So the host, James Lipton, always says that he had towards the end he's got a list of questions that this like famous French theater guy used to ask actors when he would interview them, and it was just a whole bunch of different questions. One of them was what sound or noise do you absolutely love? And Jim Carrey looks at James Lipton and he looks at the rest of the audience, which are all these acting students, and he goes, "You know what? Actually, I can do it for you. Everybody, right now, close your eyes. Everybody, close your eyes. I'm going to do this noise for you, right?" And James Lipton closes his eyes. Jim Carrey gets out of his chair, gets right next to his ear, and starts making the sound from Dumb and Dumber, where he's like, "You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?" Gets the whole audience and James Lipton to close their eyes, gets right up to his ear and does that. I almost peed myself when I heard that.
I actually love that show a lot. Like if you watch those interviews, they're like,
There's so much quality in there.
yeah. I mean, James Lipton is kind of, I don't want to say the word weird, but his interview style, like the way he talks, his cadence and stuff like that, it's so slow.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
almost monotone. So I could see people getting annoyed with it, but if you stick around and watch those interviews, there's almost always just gems in those interviews that are so good to watch. And
When he asks to speak to characters that they've played,
oh, I love
like
that.
the cast of Family Guy did it, the cast of The Simpsons did it. Jim Carrey, he asked to speak to Dave Chappelle, or he asked to speak to characters that Dave Chappelle has done, like Clayton Bigsby, the black racist.
Yeah,
Like there's one point where he'll ask him to get into character. He did it with Robin Williams, stuff like that.
he does it with because Kevin Spacey's like a a great impersonator.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Impressionist.
Impressionist. Thank you. And he like went through all these impressions with Kevin Spacey, and it was, I mean, it was amazing. Just, but I actually love that show because I don't know what James Lipton does, but he taps into every actor's like almost like vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
To where they just, I think it's because the interviews are long form. They're not these quick press junkets.
Yeah, and they're not trying to like promote anything, right? And I would wager that every actor who goes on that interview knows exactly what they're getting into.
Yeah.
You know, because not enough people have seen it, but I can't imagine that there are actors out there who don't know what it is, because so many actors have been on there. Like, they have to talk about it with each other at some point.
Yeah, and it also got parodied at Saturday Night Live with Will Ferrell, which is absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
So yeah, it's really good. I love watching that stuff, and I've never seen a bad one personally. They're all good.
Yep.
So, yeah, we love Jim Carrey.
Yep. That's basically it. Jim Carrey is life. Jim Carrey's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective came out in '94. I was 5 years old. So, yeah, that goes to show how since
I was 94, I would have been 6.
Yeah. So I mean, like it literally has been. He's been a part of our lives pretty much since we can remember.
So for more than 20 years, yeah. Yeah, it's wild to think about that. I'm not the type of person that really mourns actors that much, but like Jim Carrey might be one of those exceptions when he does finally kick the bucket.
I mourned. I mean, when Bowie died, I was kind of sad because I love David Bowie's music, but yeah, whenever Robin Williams died, and I'll feel the same way about Jim Carrey. That one was like, fuck.
Yeah.
That one hit me really hard.
I was bummed out about it just because I wasn't going to see more Robin Williams, but like I didn't know the man personally, you know, so like I didn't mourn him, but I totally understand why a lot of people did.
Yeah. So I would actually even go so far as to say that, you know, even more than Jim Carrey, Robin Williams was really special to me. But
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Robin Williams had some stellar performances. But yeah, here's to hoping that Jim Carrey just, decides to live forever.
Live forever. He'll be the first one.
Yep.
And I would have no problem with that.
Nope. None whatsoever.
I do. Honestly, every movie, even his bad movies, every movie I've seen him in, he was not the problem. And that's something that you can't say for a lot of actors.
Agreed.
So, yeah. I love him.
Who doesn't? I mean, honestly, if we ever get any comments on this podcast and somebody tells me that they don't love at least one Jim Carrey movie,
well, they can choke on a bag of dicks.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge them to a fight.
Yeah. And
Yep.
I'll be with you, and we will kill them.
That's okay. I wasn't going to go that far.
No, I will go that far, because that person is a fucking liar.
Yeah, I think so. That anybody who tries to tell us that they don't like Jim Carrey movies are probably just trolling just to be dicks.
Would you want to see more serious movies with him? Or
I would like to see more serious movies. I would not like to see him switch to all serious.
No. Yeah, for sure.
But he's getting older now. He's probably got another one in him.
Yeah, he's in his I think he's 52, and
That's crazy, isn't it? Isn't that hard to believe? He's 50.
Yeah, that's really hard to believe. But yeah, I feel like because of the Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and
The number 23.
Number 23, these are serious roles, and I'm surprised that he hasn't been cast in more serious stuff.
I'm not at all surprised by that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's famous for comedy. That's what people want. He's proven he is capable, right? He is 100% capable of taking on a serious role, but that's not why you hire Jim Carrey.
Yeah, true.
I would wager that the movies he did that were serious roles, the number 23, Eternal Sunshine, those were his idea. I bet you he went out of his way to be in those movies.
Yeah.
I would wager that he was not the first choice.
This is true.
So, but anyway,
We gushed.
Jim Carrey is God.
Yeah, so this is Balls Deep Movie Talk.
Yeah, yeah. This is. Thank you everybody for listening to our first show. We are more than appreciative of it. Um, if you guys have anything that you want to let us know, if you guys want to yell at us, you guys want to do whatever, doesn't matter. Send us some love, send us some hate. We're going to read it. And we may or may not choose to talk about it in the next video. Who knows? That's certainly an avenue we can go about.
Yeah, or even like topics. If there's certain topics that you guys want to hear and you're curious about, or we're curious about where we stand on them and stuff like that, send them in.
Mm-hmm.
We're ready
Absolutely,
for it.
100%. We want to know more. We're doing this for funsies, but hey, we're open to new ideas always. If you guys do have anything that you want to say to us, please leave comments or feel free to send us an email. We're going the super cheap route, so you can email us at bdmovietalk@gmail.com. We'll respond to as many of them as we possibly can. We both work full-time jobs, so we're not dedicating ourselves 100% to this.
Yeah. And well, I'm Josh,
I'm Dave.
and this is Balls Deep Movie Podcast. Cut.